If I didn't start running, my life would be nothing but stagnation. I want to bring up some stories and a few of the reasons why I got into running, why I became addicted to it, and how it completely changed my entire existence as a human. So, without further ado, a little bit of backstory. I used to be a really lazy person. I was basically a loser. My number one hobby used to be video games. I used to play video games all day with my friends, play on Discord. I didn't have any physical hobbies outside of video games. Like literally, like I would just get off work every day. I would get on my computer, and I remember there was a point in my life where I would just be gaming for 6 hours a day, straight up. No, 6 to 12, because sometimes I used to stay up till like, probably like I used to pull all-nighters. I ain't even gonna lie. Doing nothing but, I would just smoke and drink and be on the computer all night long. And my life was kind of a shell of what it is now before I really kind of got into working out, running, that kind of thing. So essentially I had like no direction whatsoever. I had no direction. I remember when I was younger, I used to play soccer quite a bit. That was like my first kind of taste of like running. I knew that I had a gift for running. I knew that I had a gift for, sports and stuff. But I remember I was never really like fully 100% into it, I just kind of did it because I had to. My parents forced me to play a sport, which thank goodness they did, because I would probably be much worse off if I hadn't gone through that. Thank you, Dad, for making me join a sport. But we used to have to run all the time in soccer because we had to build up our endurance, or else, when you go to like play against the other team, you're not gonna have any like wind in you. You have to have endurance. You need to be able to run with that ball. You need to be able to keep up with the other team, or else you're gonna lose. The team with better endurance is gonna beat you every time. Because they train more, they are more comfortable with their bodies. They're more. It's just like any sport. The guy with better endurance is always gonna have an advantage over the guy that doesn't. So, before I started running, I was a loser. After that, like the soccer period, that's when I was a kid. And then I kind of became like a teenager and an adult. And my life was essentially just smoking, hanging out, playing video games, sitting around. I still had projects and stuff, and, but I always knew that I wanted more in life. I always knew deep down that I wasn't a freaking, like, nobody, And I didn't want to be a nobody. I wanted to do something with my life, and I wanted to be disciplined, and I wanted to be something important, This is before I had any direction. I knew I wanted something, but I didn't know what I wanted. I tried out a few different things. It didn't work out. I ended up moving back home. I just really felt like a shell of a human. And that was until, I kind of went through like a dark period of my life where I became like an alcoholic, basically. And, no joke, it was a rough period. I remember always having anxiety. I remember I couldn't, like, I had no confidence. I had nothing. I think, and thank goodness I had friends and stuff. and that's all I really had was just friends, to hang out with, to drink, to smoke, to talk. I had my family, of course. But other than that, I was really just really a nobody, I had nothing really to look forward to every day when I woke up. It was the same thing, monotony over and over again. And I really did feel that depression, like that darkness, that sadness. I felt like less of what I wanted to be. It was like eating me inside. So I do remember mentally I wanted to make a change. And, I guess from my childhood and stuff, I had a few friends that were runners, and they would run, and they would tell me, they would take me running sometimes. And I remember every now and then I would go running, and I would feel good afterwards. I would legitimately feel like I did something, and that's when I started first kind of dabbling with running, in the beginning, it was really slow. I kind of did it like half-assed, I wasn't really like putting my full like heart into it. But I knew every time after I ran, I felt better. It's the same feeling that people get when they go to the gym. It's the same feeling that people get when they do a sport. Whenever you complete a project, whenever you stop putting shit off, and you basically be a man and you go and do it. Take action, right? So it was that feeling of like taking action, taking responsibility, being disciplined, and just doing it, So yeah, essentially the running was like the gateway to a better life, really, in my mind. I had a lot of mental problems before I started running. I didn't know how to manage my emotions. I had no discipline whatsoever. I was just all over the place, I was directionless. I was a floater, a doomer. I was a doomer, like straight up, like the Wojak, So, once, I kind of like was in that dark period, and I was like, dude, I gotta do something. I gotta make a change. I started reading up on self-improvement. I started, kind of like dabbling in the gym ever so slightly, doing martial arts, here and there. 2022. That's where I think that's where something in my mind completely changed. So a couple years ago, like 2.5 years ago, that's when I was like, I'm gonna do this, and I actually stuck with it. 2022 was the first year of my life where I truly excelled in life. And the running, I have Nike Run Club. Nike Run Club is this app on your phone that tracks your miles. I'm not endorsed by them or nothing, but get some sort of running app on your phone that'll help you track the miles. I guarantee you this will help you so much, because you'll actually be able to see how many miles you ran, yada yada yada, So, yeah, 2022 was the first year where I truly jumped in head first into running. I started running every other day, 2 to 3 miles, and that first year I got over 250 miles in 2022. And that year, everything in my life completely changed. I had a purpose in life. I remember I had a purpose to my life. I wanted to start a business. I, created a successful business. I was hustling. I was constantly working to better myself, to improve myself in every way. And I'm still on this journey, and this is only I'm still in the first 3 years, which is really weird to think about how much has changed, but running changed everything. It gave me a new life. It really did give me a new lease on life. I feel like a completely different person than the person I was before, and I'm honestly super grateful for it. Um, so yeah, but yeah, I always knew I wanted more out of life, so that's what pushed me to make the change. And I remember those first couple months, 2, 3 months, where I truly like went into it. I started doing more miles. I started getting into it more. Running actually pushed me to stop my other bad habits, to stop drinking, to stop playing video games every day, to talk to girls, to make new friends, to go boxing. Yeah, boxing is one of those things I do now because of running, you know? I don't do boxing as much because running's still my main focus, but boxing is like another thing I kind of do on the side to help, you know, with my physical like health, mental health. Um, but yeah, running was a gateway to me quitting weed, quitting nicotine, quitting alcohol. It definitely got me off video games. That was one thing, like the video games were so much easier to disconnect from. And also watching, you know, the filthy videos, you know what I'm talking about? You know, cranking the hog. Uh, I don't, like, I used to be bad about that, I ain't even gonna lie. That was another thing that running literally helped me kick, because when I would run, it just gave me the motivation to stop that, like, oh, dude, like, I would put in, like, miles on miles, like, oh, damn, I did, like, 40 miles this month, 60 miles this month. If I can do this, I can do anything. You know, and that literally, like, when I would run, that was my meditation after work. That was my meditation after a long day of conflict. That was my way of staying away from the bad habits. You know, before that, when I was directionless, I had no way to clear my mind. I didn't meditate, I didn't do anything. I was just kind of, I was using those bad habits to fill up my day because I had nothing to do and I had nothing. So I was using like video games, watching filthy videos, hanging out with bad people, doing bad things in general. You know, I was always getting in trouble too. You know, I had, you know, legal issues. You know, I fucked up my life several times. You know, I did some bad shit, stupid things. You know, I was truly like a dark person, you know, and I was a bad person. Like, I ain't even gonna lie. Like, I was, you know, that's a video for another time, but running helped me get away from that my former self is nothing like I am now. Like, I'm truly reformed. And I can't thank running enough for showing me a new way to live. And it bled into every single aspect of my life. Straight up. Some other points. So yeah, it changed my mind completely. Now I like have a bunch of good hobbies. Now I'm like learning other languages. Now I'm like changing. I look different. I literally look different. I remember when I was younger, I actually looked worse than I do now. When I was younger. Like, I look younger now than I did when I was, like, in my early 20s, like, / teenager. Because I was so corrupted and, you know, the alcohol and the lack of exercise and the smoking and drinking and the video games and sitting on my ass all day was just destroying me and just completely fucking everything up, you know? So, things that changed in my mind after, you know, I began the running journey. So, I wrote some things down here. I felt more confident. This is a big one. I felt way more confident after my runs. You know, I could look people in the eyes when I talked to them. Before that, I couldn't do that. I couldn't stand up for myself. I couldn't, you know, talk to a girl without getting nervous. You know, I couldn't, like, I just, you know, I had no spine. I had no spine and I had nothing, like, keeping me on the right path. You know, no discipline, nothing. I felt more like my true self. So, yeah, like I said, I'm a completely different person now. There was a point before the dark period of my life, I would say when I first became a teenager, so like the first 2 to 3 years of high school, I was still bad, but I really wasn't like a super mega alcoholic, and I wasn't smoking dank every day. Um, as you can see, yeah, there's literally a bong in the background. I do have roommates, keep that in mind. That's not my bong. I did try to move it out of the frame for the video. It was right here next to me. I was like, oh, I'll just move it over there. Now I see it's like right there in the background. I'm in the the main room, so yeah. I know someone's gonna say some shit about that, so if you watch the whole video, you'll know. I don't smoke weed. Um, but so yeah, when I was like 15, 16, 17, that was the best time of my life. And anyone who lived through 2016 can agree that that was like a great time to live in. Yeah, I'm not saying everybody, but there was something magical about those few years that, the world has completely changed now compared to then. Everyone feels it. I feel like that was a time where life was normal, where things were exciting, and life truly felt like a movie. And not so negative. I'm not saying the world was perfect, but I felt alive is what I'm saying. I remember during that time, 15, 16, 17, I felt like I truly was myself. My personality was my personality. I felt like I was living in a movie. I had girlfriends. I had good friends. I had great experiences. I did things every day. I would go outside the house. I was living. What I'm trying to say is, there was a period where I really felt like myself and I felt alive. Truly alive. And the reason I say that is because you can be living life, and when you're in those dark periods, when you're in those depressions, you don't even feel like you're waking up to like the real reality. During my dark episodes, it was so strange. Everything felt like a blur. I definitely didn't feel alive, I'll tell you what. I felt like I was in a bad cycle of darkness and sadness and hatred and just negativity in general. So the past couple years, the past 2.5 years was basically, I got to a point where I lost myself. And I remember trying to get back to that, and I kept wondering why. I was like, what's going on, dude? What's going on? Like, what happened in my life? Like, I was a kid, and then I became a teenager, and life was great, and everything was good. And I felt like the future was so bright, and everything was just going on this upward trajectory, up and up and up. And then I remember after I graduated, it was like everything just completely crashed. Like I basically hit a brick wall of reality. And I felt like I just like fucking fell flat on my ass. I was just rudderless. Completely rudderless. And if I hadn't changed, I was definitely destined down a path of either ending up in jail or dying or just becoming basically a loser, just a drunk fucking gamer, loser, piece of shit, lazy bastard, lonely, sad human. So, like I said this again, I can't thank running enough. Running was the true gateway that showed me a brighter path. So the past few years was when, I had lost myself, and now I came back. Like, something, after making that change, after making that mental change to get better, it was like my old self, when I was like younger, came back. I was like, it's like I woke up. I was in like a dark dream. I was like living this nightmare. It wasn't even me. My actions, like, it wasn't me. And then I woke up from the bad dream, and I was like, I snapped back into reality. and it was like my eyes just opened up, and it was just, damn, bro, what happened? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what was that? You know? And I'm back on that trajectory. Like, I'm up and up and up. You know, and you know, I have little hiccups every now and then. I'm not gonna say that every day is like that most epic day ever, but, and I'm gonna go into this dark period many times, you know, in the future. Like, dude, I had no hose. I ain't even gonna lie. I ain't, like, it was bad. I had no money, nothing. Like, I was always anxious. I was having anxiety attacks. I was completely addicted to so many substances. I gained more mental strength. That is so true. Yeah, so all those other things, yeah, all that stuff that I cut out of my life, all that bullshit, negative people, bad stuff, it gave me the mental strength to make those decisions, to do things, because when you don't have the mental strength, you just don't feel like you can make the necessary changes in your life. You're just already defeated before you start the battle, you know? So it really gave me the confidence to have the strength to do this stuff, to make these videos, to start a business, to be a good man, you know, to be a good person, to work hard. I felt more handsome. Yeah, so that's another benefit. This will go with like working out, running, sports. You know, all this stuff all ties together. I felt more handsome. Like, I remember like feeling like during that dark period, I felt ugly. Like, literally, I felt like a piece of shit. I felt like, you know, oh, you know, nobody wants me. You know, what's wrong with me? I basically just felt like a loser, you know, like an ugly, sad loser. You know, and now I have self-love. You know, I have, you know, I love myself in a way where I can look at myself and say, oh, you know, you aren't a loser. You're not ugly. You're not nasty. You know, you can stop saying that bad shit about yourself. I felt like I had self-respect after running. So yeah, the self-respect, you know, like, I'll say no to things that I wouldn't do, you know, before, like peer pressure and shit. And, you know, like, yeah, just having more self-respect, having more discipline just feels better. And it helped accelerate my business. You know, it helped everything. You know, having self-respect is everything. My body felt stronger and healthier. Yes, that's true. Yeah, the body gains. I was skinny fat before I started running, and I hated that about myself. I hated that. I didn't want to take my shirt off around like girls or like guys. I just felt like repulsive, you know. I had that like little belly and you know, skinny arms and stuff. You know, after I started getting into physical stuff and doing all these things to change, I got skinny. Like, you know, my belly disappeared. When I take off my shirt around a girl, I don't feel ashamed anymore. I'm not afraid to take off my shirt. I'm not afraid to go into the pool, you know. When I'm in bed with a girl, I'm not afraid to be naked. You know, I have a good self-image, you know. When I take off my clothes, I'm not ashamed. I don't feel embarrassed at all. So, yeah, what I have here, my final notes. Running consistently was the first true accomplishment on my self-improvement journey. And it was a gateway to so many other things that I improved in my life. It changed the way I looked. My face used to be puffy. I look younger than I did in the past after implementing running. My relationships improved. I feel more confident around women, and I feel braver. I'm no longer a pushover. I want to talk more about running benefits in the future, and I will. And if you got this far, you know, thank you so much for listening to this video. This truly does mean a lot to me. I try to get everyone I can in my life to get into running or working out. I always try to push them to get into it because the benefits are just immense. It's not a waste of time. It's not a waste of effort. Start running every day, and your life will completely change. It'll be like black and white. No joke. Please subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, like. This is a growing channel, growing community. I'm offering more wisdom in the future. So please show your support, and yeah, have a great day.